Hey there, and welcome. I'm really glad you're here. Seriously, I know you've got a lot going on assignments, social life, maybe even work or family stuff. So, the fact that you're taking time to watch this, that says something about you. It tells me you care about doing things with intention, about showing up for yourself, and maybe, just maybe, about doing college a little differently than what the culture expects. Before we jump in, I'd like to get a quick snapshot of what you already know and what you might learn today. This is not a test with right or wrong answers. It's just a short check in to see where we're starting from. You won't be graded, and your answers are anonymous. It'll only take a minute or two. So go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen with your phone. And once you've submitted your answers, we'll get started. Now, let me say this right off the bat. I'm not here to lecture you. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. That's not what this is. I'm here to walk alongside you for a few minutes to help you pause, reflect, and think about the kind of life you want to build and how alcohol may or may not fit into that story. College is a big shift. For a lot of people, it's the first time they've had this much freedom. You choose when or if you go to class. You choose your people. You choose your priorities. You choose who you want to become. And with all that freedom comes responsibility, not just the kind that shows up on a syllabus. I'm talking about the kind that shaped your future. Every decision you make now, especially around things like alcohol, can ripple out. It affects your relationships, your physical and mental health, your grades, your confidence, and your sense of direction. So let's slow down for a second. Take a moment right now to think about this. What kind of person are you becoming in college? Who do you want to be in 3, 5, or 10 years from now? Now ask yourself, are your habits moving you towards that person or away from them? Now, let's be real. Alcohol is a big part of college culture. It's in the movies, the memes, the music. From game days to random Tuesday night bar deals, it shows up. Sometimes it feels like drinking is just what people do, like it's a rite of passage. And if you're not drinking or not drinking a certain way, then maybe you're missing out. But I want to challenge that idea because the truth, not everyone drinks, and not everyone drinks heavily. In fact, more students than you might realize are making smart, intentional choices. Here in Missouri, the data tells a powerful story. While most people think everyone's drinking all the time, the reality is very different. 60% of Missouri students reported not drinking in the past 2 weeks. That's significantly higher than the national average of 39%. Only 21% reported binge drinking in the past year, compared to 29% nationally. And here's something even more surprising. Most students believe 96% of their peers drank alcohol in the past year. But in reality, only 60% did. That means a lot of students are assuming everyone's doing it, but that's simply not true. I've worked with a lot of college students, hundreds, maybe even thousands, and I've seen both sides of the story. I've seen students thrive because they stayed grounded in their values and made decisions that protected their goals. And I've seen students lose scholarships, fail out, face legal trouble because of 1 or 2 nights they didn't plan for. But this isn't about guilt. It's not about fear. It's about clarity. This is about helping you think differently, act intentionally, and feel more empowered when it comes to your choices. Here's what we're going to explore together: what alcohol actually does to your brain and body, especially while it's still developing. What's really happening on college campuses, not just what's on Instagram, and how to stay safe and make confident choices if you choose to drink, and how to stay true to yourself even when it feels like everyone around you is doing something else. I'm going to give you tools, like real practical tools, not vague advice, but strategies you can actually use the next time you go out, go to a party, or just decide to stay in. So here's the invitation. Don't just go through the motions. Don't just accept the story that college equals party. Choose to write your own story. Own your values. Own your future. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware, being intentional, and being real with yourself. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You get to choose what works for you and what builds the life you actually want. And I think that's pretty powerful. So let's dive in. Let's take a real look at how alcohol affects college life. Not just in obvious ways, but in ways that can sneak up on you. Because here's the truth. Alcohol doesn't exist in a vacuum. It doesn't hit pause on everything else you've got going on. It comes with you to class, to work, to your friendships, and even into how you feel about yourself the next morning. So let's talk about it. Let's unpack what actually is happening when alcohol is part of your story. You've probably heard the joke, C's get degrees. But what about missed classes? What about that one test you bombed because of a hangover or a late night? I've heard students say it was just one night, but one night turns into a pattern, and patterns shape your outcomes. Let me give you a real example. One student I worked with was on track for a competitive internship. Straight A student, super driven, but they started going out Thursday through Sunday every week. They told themselves they were still functional, but slowly. Grades dropped, motivation tanked, and the internship gone. Not because they weren't smart, because alcohol slowly shifted their focus and energy. They didn't even realize it until it was too late. Think about your biggest academic or career goal right now. Now ask yourself, how do my weekend choices help or hurt that goal? Here's something that might surprise you. A lot of students use alcohol to relax, to take the edge off, especially during stressful weeks. But alcohol actually messes with your nervous system. It can mess with your sleep, anxiety, and mood regulation. So while it might feel like relief in the moment, it often makes stress worse in the long run. And the data backs that up. In Missouri, students who reported heavy drinking were more likely to also report mental health challenges. 55% of heavy drinkers said they felt depressed, compared to 47% of lighter or non drinkers. 68% reported feeling anxious versus 61% of their peers. That's not just a coincidence. It's a reminder that using alcohol to cope might actually make things worse. Once a student told me, I thought drinking helped me escape my anxiety, but I realized I was actually drinking because of my anxiety. Now, that's not uncommon. If you're already struggling with your mental health, which is super normal for college students, alcohol can blur things, mask things, and sometimes make it harder to get help. When you're stressed, what helps you reset and recharge? Is alcohol part of that list or something that actually delays your recovery? There's also this pressure, this vibe, like you're supposed to go out, keep up, drink a certain way, and laugh it off the next day. But normal doesn't always mean healthy. And just because everyone seems to be doing something doesn't mean it's right for you. Let's be real. How many times have you heard someone say something like, I don't remember what happened last night, and everyone laughs? But if you really stop to think about it, it's kind of scary. That's memory loss. That's blacking out. That's risk. We've got to shift the narrative from survive the party to thrive in your life. You're not boring for choosing your health. You're not missing out when you skip a night to rest or study. You're building something, and that takes intention. Let's talk relationships, friends, dating, or even how professors see you. Alcohol can cloud your judgment, lower your inhibitions, and affect how you treat others or how others treat you. Ever said something you regret? Hooked up with someone and felt confused afterwards? Gotten in an argument that started after a few drinks? We've all had moments we wish we could undo. Alcohol has a way of taking small decisions and turning them into big consequences. Who are you when you drink? Are you still aligned with your values? With how you want others to experience you? Your character, your reputation, your integrity, they all matter. And you don't have to compromise them to have fun. This is serious. Binge drinking can lead to blackouts, and in some cases, alcohol poisoning. And here's the thing, it doesn't take a ton of alcohol, it just takes a short window of time and the wrong conditions. You probably know the stories. A student drinks too fast. Friends think they just need to sleep it off, but they're unresponsive, vomiting, breathing slow. This is a life threatening emergency. You call 911, no hesitation. Most campuses have Good Samaritan policies. You won't get in trouble for helping someone out. And if you're the one drinking, your life is more valuable than any party, any peer pressure, or any drink someone hands you. Alcohol can affect your grades and academic momentum. your mental health, sleep, and ability to cope with stress, your relationships and sense of self, your physical safety and the safety of people around you. This isn't about being anti drinking, it's about being pro you. It's about checking in with yourself and choosing what aligns with the life you want to build. Because at the end of the day, alcohol isn't the main character. You are. Let's talk about something that's probably affected you, whether you realize it or not. It's not peer pressure in the traditional sense. It's not just parties or group texts or even social media. It's the story we tell ourselves about college. The story that everyone is drinking, that everyone's going out, that if you're not keeping up, you're being left behind. But what if that story isn't true? We make a lot of decisions based on what we think other people are doing. Think about it. Have you ever agreed to something you didn't really want to do because you thought you'd be the odd one out? Said yes to going out, even though you were exhausted because everyone else is? Felt awkward turning down a drink because you assumed you'd be the only one? That's the power of perception. Now imagine this. You're sitting in a class of 30 students. How many do you think drank alcohol this past weekend? You might guess, 25, maybe even all 30. But in reality, the number might be more like 10 or 8, maybe even fewer. Yet, that false perception that everyone is doing it shapes behavior. It creates pressure where there doesn't need to be any. So, where does this misperception come from? It's not just peer conversations, it's also the highlight reels. You scroll Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat and you see a few people posting about drinking or partying. And suddenly, it feels like everyone is out every night. But here's the trick: the quiet moments, the nights in, the self care, the studying, the movie marathons, those don't usually get posted. They don't get likes or comments. In fact, in Missouri, most students think that 96% of their peers have consumed alcohol in the past year, but only 60% actually have. That's a massive gap between perception and reality, and it shows how pressure and misinformation can influence choices that don't match our actual values or what most students are really doing. So we end up comparing our real life to someone else's curated content. And that's not a fair comparison. Here's what the national trends show. Most college students are not binge drinking. Many drink occasionally and they do it with intentional strategies. And a large portion don't drink at all. Let that settle in for a second because it changes things, doesn't it? Okay, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Think about your circle of friends. Now think about your broader campus community. How many people do you think are choosing to drink less or not at all? Chances are it's more than you thought. The truth: you're probably not the only one thinking about boundaries. You're not the only one skipping a party to prioritize rest, work, or health. You're not the only one who feels like the culture doesn't always align with your values. You are not alone. Now, this isn't just about alcohol. It's about pressure, comparison, and being true to yourself in a world that makes that hard. When you believe everyone's drinking and drinking heavily, you're more likely to follow along even when it doesn't feel right. But when you know the truth that most students are making thoughtful, intentional decisions, you start to feel more confident in your own choices. And that confidence, it's freeing. Let's be real. Choosing not to drink or to drink less isn't always a popular move, but it is a powerful one. You don't need alcohol to be fun. You don't need to be drunk to be accepted. And you don't have to match anyone else's habits to belong. You get to decide what's right for you. And the more you do, the more others will feel like they can do the same. because your choices send a message too. They say, it's okay to go at your own pace. It's okay to choose differently. Let's recap to this point. Here's what I want you to walk away with so far. The idea that everyone's drinking is a myth. Most students are making more thoughtful, less risky choices than you might think. There's a large and growing group of students who are choosing to drink less or not at all. And when you make decisions aligned with your values, you are wise. This is your life, your goals, your energy, your story. Don't let a myth write the script. Write your own. Let's talk about where this all shows up the most. Parties, tailgates, bars, birthdays, residence hall hangouts. These moments are everywhere in college. And let's be honest, they can be fun, but they can also come with pressure, blurry lines, and moments where your choices matter more than ever. So let's talk about how to navigate them on your terms. If you've ever felt like going out equals drinking, you're not alone. There's this unspoken expectation at a lot of social events. You're here, so of course you're drinking, right? But the truth, you can show up, still be fully in control. You can go out and not drink. You can go out and drink less. You can stay in and protect your peace. And there's no one right way to have a social life. There's just your way. So let's walk through a few strategies that help you own your choices before, during, and after social events. Before you even show up, ask yourself, why am I going out tonight? How do I want to feel at the end of this night? Do I want to drink? If so, how much feels okay for me? Who am I going to be with? Do I trust them? This is you taking the driver's seat. Because when you go in with clarity, you're less likely to get swept up in the moment. Try this. Text a friend ahead of time. Hey, want to keep each other accountable tonight? That one text can make all the difference. If you do decide to drink, here are some tools that students have told me help them stay safe and still have a great time. Eat before drinking. Drinking on an empty stomach hits harder and faster. Set a limit and tell a friend that limit. Decide ahead of time what's enough. Pace yourself. 1 drink per hour is a good rule of thumb. Alternate with water. It'll keep you hydrated and it will slow your pace down. Have a trusted buddy. You watch out for them, and they watch out for you. Now, these aren't about being a buzzkill. They're about being smart and staying in control of your night and your choices. A quick check. If you're drinking to escape something or to keep up, I'd invite you to pause and reflect on that. We need to talk about consent because it's not just a legal issue, it's a human issue. Consent requires clarity, and if someone is intoxicated, they can't give that clarity. Slurred speech, trouble standing, confused, or zoned out. These are signs that a person cannot give valid consent. No matter what they said earlier, or how they're dressed, or what they've done before. And the same goes for you. If you're not in a clear state, you can't give consent either. That boundary protects everyone. Being someone who respects and upholds consent is part of being someone others can trust. And that's the kind of leader this world needs more of. What if you don't want to drink? Okay, let's flip the script again. Not everyone at the party is drinking, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for saying no. So here are some tips students have used to feel more confident in social settings without drinking. Have a drink in your hand. It can be soda, sparkling water, whatever. It helps reduce the pressure. Use a simple no thanks. You don't need a speech. Blame something neutral. Like, I've got a test tomorrow. I'm driving. Just taking a break. Start your own plans. Host a movie night. Go out for late night food. There are so many ways to connect without alcohol. You don't need alcohol to be fun, social, or confident. You're already those things. You just might need reminders. Sometimes it's not just about your choices, it's about your people too. You can make a huge impact by looking out for friends who are drinking too fast, seem out of it, are being pressured, might be in an unsafe situation. You don't need to be dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as, hey, let's get some water. Want to head outside for a minute? I've got you. Let's stick together. It's small actions like that that build trust and prevent harm. So be the friend who looks out. A reminder, if someone passes out, vomits repeatedly, or can't stay awake, get help. Call 911 or campus security. Most campuses have Good Samaritan policies. Your priority is safety. Let's talk about social pressure. Sometimes the pressure isn't about one person, it's the whole vibe of the night. You feel it when people chant chug, 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 or when they refill your cup without asking, or when it feels like you're being lame for slowing down. Let me be clear. You don't have to earn approval through alcohol. You already matter. You already belong. If someone makes you feel like you have to drink to be accepted, that's a red flag, not a real friend. Another quick recap. Here's what we've covered so far. You always have options before, during, and after a social event. If you drink, plan ahead, go slow, stay connected. If you don't drink, you're not alone and you're not missing out. Look out for your people. Safety is always more important than pride. You don't need alcohol to be valid, fun, or respected. You already are. And this is your life, your energy, and your future. So whether you go out, stay in, drink, or don't, do it on purpose, do it with clarity, and always do it with self respect. Let's take a moment to zoom out. We've been talking a lot about alcohol, what it does, what it means in college culture, how to stay safe if you choose to drink, how to navigate social pressure. But I want to go deeper now. Let's talk about you, your values, your purpose, and the story you're writing right now, every single day. Because you're not just living in a moment, you are building a future. I want to ask a question that might feel big, maybe a little uncomfortable. Who are you becoming? Not just what's your major, not just what do you want to do after graduation, but deeper than that. What kind of person are you becoming? What do you stand for? What kind of energy are you bringing into the spaces around you? How do you treat people, including yourself? Because here's the truth. College doesn't define you, but the choices you make during this time, they absolutely shape you. Let's pause for reflection because some people treat college like a holding zone, a temporary bubble before real life starts. But what if this is real life? What if the habits you're forming right now, the relationships you're choosing, the ways you cope with stress and joy and boredom, what if all of that is already shaping the future version of you? Here's a quick prompt to sit with. Feel free to write this down. When I look back at my college years, I want to be proud of what would you say? How do you want to use this season? Not just to survive, but to grow and thrive. The little things you do each day are planting seeds. Choosing to rest, seed. Staying up all night, scrolling, seed. Standing up for a friend, seed. Drinking just to feel included when it doesn't align with your values, seed. Skipping out on something because you are protecting your peace, seed. And just like real seeds, we often don't see the results right away, but they grow quietly, consistently into your future. Let's bring alcohol back into the picture, not as a villain, but as a mirror. Here's a simple but powerful prompt. When I drink, I take a second, fill in the blank, honestly. When I drink, I loosen up. When I drink, I forget stuff. When I drink, I say things I regret. When I drink, I feel more confident. When I drink, I avoid what I'm really feeling. Whatever comes up for you, it's valid. This isn't about shame. It's about self-awareness. Now ask, is that version of me helping me grow or holding me back? Here's what I know. When your decisions align with your values, things start to click. Your confidence grows. Your self-respect deepens. You feel grounded, not scattered. But when you're out of alignment, you start feeling disconnected from yourself, from your purpose, from your best self. So here's another reflection question for you. What are 3 things I want most out of my college experience? Now, are my current habits helping me get there? If not, good news. You can change direction anytime, as often as you need to. Your why is your anchor. Why are you here? Why does your future matter? Why do you want to take care of your body, your mind, your relationships? When you know your why, it becomes easier to say, no thanks, I'm good. I've got other priorities. I'm doing this differently. When you really know your why, you don't need to defend it because it's rooted in something bigger than any party, any trend, or any moment of doubt. Let's say this clearly. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to outgrow habits, friendships, identities, even coping mechanisms that once served you but no longer do. You don't need permission. Your growth is your responsibility and your right. So if your why has evolved, let your choices evolve too. Maybe you're thinking, but I've already made mistakes. I've already been caught in cycles that don't feel great. It's okay. You're never stuck. You can reset. You can pivot. You can say, I want to do things differently and start right now. Your best self isn't a destination. It is a direction. And every small choice that reflects your truth brings you closer to it. Let's try something. Picture yourself 5 years from now. You've graduated. You're in your next chapter, whatever that looks like. Now imagine that version of you writing a letter back to the person you are today. What do they say? Maybe it's something like, thank you for caring about your future, even when others didn't understand. Or, thank you for setting boundaries that felt uncomfortable in the moment, but created freedom later. Thank you for not giving up on becoming someone you're proud of. That voice, that's in you now, and you don't have to wait. Let's recap on what we just covered here because it's deep. College isn't a pause in life. It's the beginning of something big. Your choices now are shaping your identity, habits, and future. Every action is planting a seed. So be mindful of what you're growing. Know your why. Align with your truth. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to start fresh. And your best self is not perfect. It's intentional and it's evolving. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You don't have to stay the same just because you were yesterday. You don't have to fit someone else's definition of fun, success, or freedom. You just have to keep showing up for the version of yourself you believe in, the version of you they're waiting, and they are so worth it. So let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention when we talk about alcohol, stress, and college life: support. Because here's the truth: college can be overwhelming, even if you're doing all the right things, balancing classes, working hard, showing up. It is still a lot. And sometimes it is too much. You weren't meant to do this alone. None of us were. Let me say something directly to you. If you're struggling with something, anything, you are not weak. You are human. Needing support doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're alive. It means you're doing the brave work of living in a complex world with a full heart and an overbooked schedule. Support isn't about fixing you. It's about helping you reconnect with your strength. Let's get practical. Almost every campus has resources in place specifically for students like you navigating hard stuff. So here are just a few places you might find support on campus. Counseling services, whether it's stress, depression, anxiety, or relationship stuff. Counselors are trained to help. Your health clinics for physical concerns, medication support, sleep problems, and more. Wellness or peer programs. Because sometimes talking to another student who gets it can be incredibly grounding. The substance use resources or recovery programs. These aren't just for people with serious issues. They're for anyone wanting to take a closer look at their relationship with substances. Off campus or online, 24/7 support lines and chat apps like the crisis text line, like 988, community health clinics, online therapy platforms, faith-based or cultural community resources. Here's a pro tip. Put your campus counseling number and the national crisis text line in your phone now. Not because you need it this minute, but because someone in your circle might. There's this idea floating around that asking for help is a last resort, that you're supposed to have everything together and only reach out when you're really bad off. But the strongest people I know, they're the ones who raise their hand early, who say, hey, something feels off, and I'd like to talk it through. Reaching out isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's leadership. It's emotional intelligence in action. Now, support comes in many forms, and it doesn't always have to be formal or clinical. Sometimes support looks like calling a friend and saying, hey, can I talk for 10 minutes? I just need to vent. It can look like journaling and then sharing it with someone you trust. It can be going for a walk with a mentor or professor you respect. It could be going to a recovery meeting to just listen. It could be signing up for a workshop about stress, time management, or boundaries. You don't have to hit rock bottom to deserve support. If you're feeling stuck, heavy, confused, or even just tired of pretending, that is enough of a reason. This isn't just about you. Sometimes support starts with you showing up for someone else. Think for a second. Who in your life might be quietly struggling right now? Maybe it's a roommate who's been isolating. Maybe it's a classmate who seems distracted or distant. Maybe it's the friend who always says they're fine with a smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. You don't need to fix anyone. You just need to check in. Here are some simple ways to start. You've been on my mind. How are you really doing? I've noticed you've been quieter lately. Want to talk? Let's hang out. No pressure, just chill time. If you ever want to talk to someone, I'm here. And they're professionals who are amazing too. I've used them myself. Sometimes what someone is going through crosses into emergency territory. If a friend is passed out and unresponsive, is vomiting uncontrollably, has trouble breathing or staying awake, has slurred speech, pale or clammy skin, or talks about harming themselves or giving up, you don't wait, you act. You call 911 or campus security. Stay with them. Don't worry about getting in trouble. Because again, most schools have Good Samaritan policies to protect you, and you seek help in an emergency. Your courage could save a life. I also want to be clear, seeking support isn't just for emergencies. It's for burnout, academic stress, family pressure, breakups, loneliness, identity questions, and yes, even figuring out what your relationship with alcohol means. Support isn't just about staying alive. It's about learning how to really live, to thrive, to grow, to feel safe in your own mind and body. You deserve that. Let's normalize going to therapy, asking for help, setting boundaries, saying no, and saying, I'm not okay. Let's create a culture where support is expected, not whispered, where strength is measured not by how much you can carry alone, but your ability to share the load and ask others to walk with you. That's the kind of community we all want. Let's be the ones who build it. Recap here. You don't have to wait for a crisis to reach out for support. Every campus has resources designed for you. Use them. Reaching out means strength, wisdom, and self-respect. Support comes in many forms like friends, mentors, professionals, peer programs, apps, and hotline. Be the one who checks in on others. You never know the impact of a simple question. When something feels off, listen to that signal. You are allowed to care for yourself like someone who matters because you do. You don't have to carry everything. You don't have to prove anything. And you don't have to wait until it's bad enough. Your well-being matters. Your peace matters. Your future matters. So let's build a culture where asking for help is seen as what it is, a courageous, wise, and life-changing choice, because you are not alone. All right, we've talked about a lot in this session, from social norms to safety strategies, from pressure to purpose, from partying to personal growth. And now it's time to wrap it all together. But before we close, I want to ask you to do something that might seem simple, but it's powerful. Take a breath, just for a second. Inhale and exhale. And take a moment to appreciate yourself for showing up, for engaging with this conversation, for taking your future seriously. That matters. Now, this wasn't just about alcohol. This was about you. It was about how you think, how you choose, how you grow, how you treat yourself, and how you create the life you want. Not someday, but starting right now. Whether you drink or don't, whether you've made mistakes or not, whether you feel like you're thriving or barely holding it together, this is your reminder that you have the power to shape your story. If you remember nothing else from today, let it be these three truths. 1, you're not the only one thinking differently. Most students are not binge drinking every weekend, and Missouri students are drinking less than the national average. Only 21% reported binge drinking in the past year, compared to 29% nationally. And 60% didn't drink at all in the past 2 weeks. You are not the exception. You're actually part of a growing norm of students who are thinking critically about putting their choices and putting their futures first. 2, you get to define your relationship with alcohol. You are in control. Your boundaries, your pacing, your no thanks are valid. And your relationship with alcohol can change as you change, and that's called growth. 3, you can always reset. Every day is a chance to start fresh. You don't have to be who you were yesterday. You don't need permission to grow. You already have it. Let's end with one more reflection. What's one small shift you want to make this week that aligns with who you want to become. Think about it. Maybe it's setting a drink limit ahead of time. Maybe it's skipping a night out to rest. Maybe it's checking in with a friend or yourself. Maybe it's journaling, going to counseling, or just noticing how alcohol affects your mental health. Small shifts, repeated with intention, lead to big change. A student once shared this response in an email with me. I used to think college was about figuring out who I was, but now I think it's about deciding who I want to be and building the habits to support that version of me. That email stuck with me because deciding is power and aligning is growth. And you don't have to wait until you have it all figured out to start becoming your best self. You just have to start. You've got momentum. So here are some ways to keep that momentum going. Talk about this. Share something you learned with a friend or roommate. Start a real conversation. Write your own takeaway. What message are you leaving with today? Use the campus resources. Even if you're not sure what you need, just explore. Revisit your why. Post it on your wall. Put it in your phone. Remind yourself regularly. And most importantly, keep checking in with yourself. Keep choosing what supports your future. Keep showing up for the person you're becoming. You're not just here to pass your classes. You are here to learn how to live well, to lead yourself with courage, to make choices with confidence, to build a life that's healthy, joyful, grounded, and true to who you are. Alcohol will always be part of the college landscape. But the question is, how do you want it to fit into your story? And more importantly, who do you want to be in that story? That answer belongs to you. So keep showing up, keep choosing with clarity, and keep owning the life you're building. You've got this. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear what stuck with you. Just like at the beginning, this is a quick check-in, not a quiz or a grade. It helps us understand what messages made an impact today. So go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen. It's just a few short questions. It should only take about a minute or two.